no longer talking about their book. It was as like, we're missing a lot of scope for marketing the business, but also then they're looking at me going, but Sarah, I don't know what to say on social media. At which point I want to beat them over the head with their own book, because everything they ever need to say is in the book.
All right, welcome back. This is the Coachful Coaching Leadership Podcast. I'm here with Sarah Fletcher today from
Hello.
Mushroom Souffle. And I don't think you're a baker. I don't think you're a cook, right, Sarah?
No, I'm
No?
not.
Okay, but it's already getting me hungry right now. Sarah, I'm going to hand it over to you for a second. Just talk about who you are. Who's Mushroom Souffle?
Well, hello. I am Mushroom Souffle. I'm Sarah Fletcher, and I create social media content and strategies for non-fiction authors and niche experts. So we're all about the
Okay.
world of social media.
The world of social media. I'm going to pop your, for those who are watching a video, here's your website, right?
There's my
Mushroom
website.
Souffle.
That's
Souffle.
clever.
Yeah. Yeah. Your book is The Secret to Being Magnetic Online. All right. So we're going to talk a little bit about helping authors get noticed online. I presume that's what we're going to do here, right?
That's what we do, yes.
Okay. All right. I'm going to stop sharing there. Even before getting into what you do, why did you name your company Mushroom Souffle?
Mainly for myself, because I didn't want to be bored when talking about my business every day. So if you think, how
Okay.
many times do you introduce yourself to someone, or you sign off an email, or you leave a message, and it's me going, hello, it's Sarah from, and I just thought, if I've got to say this every day, I need it not to just bore me to death. So I wanted it to mean something, and I wanted it to be a little bit random, which I think I managed. So 3 days of the dictionary and the thesaurus open, and mushrooms grow, souffles rise, and that's what I help people in their businesses to do.
Grow and rise.
Grow and rise.
Okay. All right. I do want to dig into that a little more later, but let's talk about what you do and who you do it for. So you focus on the social media presence for authors who are like, they have their books, they're trying to get it out there, get it advertised, get it noticed. Can you talk about, like, I guess, what is the problem right now? Like, why target authors specifically with social media?
So think business people who have written a book, and they've written a book because they have all this amazing knowledge, years of experience. They want to help more people. They want to be able to reach more people with what they do. So writing a book is a thing. Also, having the status of being a published expert is it raises your credibility in your industry. And what I noticed was, so I've been doing this for over 15 years, and I noticed a lot of my clients were also published authors, but they'd launched the book, they'd shout about the book, they would celebrate it for a month or two, and then never mention it again. I was like, so what's going on here? Because once you've written that book, this book is the key to so many other opportunities within your business. That's the point of it. It's about growing your business. It's about, if you want to take to the stage, then people want published authors to come and speak on their area of expertise. People view you as the person to go to if you're a published author. So the fact that they were then no longer talking about their book was, I was like, we're missing a lot of scope for marketing the business. But also then they're looking at me going, but Sarah, I don't know what to say on social media. At which point I want to beat them over the head with their own book, because everything they ever need to say is in the book.
Yep. Yes.
So
What's the resistance there?
not wanting to seem spammy, not wanting to bang on about something and bore people with it. This is the pressure that we all put on ourselves generally. It's that feeling like you can only talk about something for a certain amount of time and then you have to move on. And I don't agree with this. There's lots of ways to talk about your book, your program, your online courses, whatever it is, but without being a spammy dick and without boring people. So
Yeah.
that's where I come at it from. because I take the book and the other content that they've got and I transform it into what I call the cookie jar of content. And this content is
What's this?
evergreen and they can share it
Mm-hmm.
repeatedly.
Mm.
And the whole,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's yeah, no, and it sounds like you help them create this little trickle effect down a funnel, right? Like they keep trickling, bits of their book and points of view around things using content from their book. I I guess like when you look at that, well, you talk about this cookie jar. What is this cookie jar representing here?
Okay, so I want you to imagine a shelf with lots of cookie
Mm-hmm.
jars sat along it. Every
Yep,
cookie
sounds like
jar,
my home. Yep.
every cookie jar is a different flavor. These are your categories of your social media posts. So then you bake your cookies in terms of you create your posts and you fill each of your cookie jars up.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you want to post, you pop your little paw into any of the cookie jars and you feed your hungry cookie monsters online. But the best bit is
Ah.
the jars never empty because they are evergreen. So the posts are
Mm-hmm.
relevant for as long as your book is relevant. And if we,
I
look
see.
at certain niches or genres of nonfiction books, there are books out there that have been relevant for 20, 25 years. So
Mm-hmm.
why can't their book be relevant for that long? So then what it does
Yeah.
is it focuses their message. It shows people they are the go-to person. It shows that it reminds people gently that you are a published author without constantly going, look at me, I wrote a book, I wrote a book. It's about using the content within the book. It's valuable stuff. This is your
Mm-hmm.
gold. So that's the whole premise of the cookie jar. And you can use it as the backbone or the spine of your social media campaign, your presence, and then weave
Mm-hmm.
it in with the ad hoc stuff that you do, other things you've got going on. And then you end up with this really nicely rounded social media presence that makes you more easily discovered, more stalkable. We know being stalkable is very important in this day and age because people want to check you out and make that decision whether you're one of the right people for them before they make a decision or in terms of even having a
Mm-hmm.
conversation.
So this is a very neat method where you're basically you never run out of content in here, and you have different categories of cookies, as you said, different types of hooks, into your social media sphere. I guess I mean, I can imagine if you're doing nonfiction, like you're writing a book on, you know, you're an authority on topic X, you could trickle down a lot of information there. How do you do it if you're a fiction writer? Say, you write novels about war, you write novels about, romance, dare I say.
In all
How is
honesty,
this relevant for them too?
I don't do fiction because
Oh, you don't do fiction.
I
Okay.
don't do, my whole thing is this is business orientated. This is helping business owners, solopreneurs, founder led businesses raise their profile by having posts with purpose.
I
All
see.
it's
Okay.
all the foundational marketing for them.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. I was really wondering how, it was like a romance novel. What's your point of view on social media? I guess you can have a point of view on love and, you know,
It
engagement.
absolutely can. It just comes, you would
Yeah.
just utilize different strategies and different
Yeah.
approaches for doing it for fiction. But I do focus on business people and nonfiction.
Okay. Okay. I am curious, and I am curious. Like when we talked earlier, you mentioned like it's probably 15 years ago, you went into this world of
Hmm.
helping authors, and you never look back after that, right? I'm curious what's motivated you to offer this service and help other people with their visibility online.
15 years ago, people were really struggling with social media. To be fair, not a lot has changed. It's amazing how,
Hmm.
over that significant period of time, social media has changed so much, but the psychology and people don't. So, like,
Hmm.
I'm still talking about the same things that I was 15 years ago, which I find fascinating. But it's
Like what hasn't changed?
what hasn't changed. People's worry about standing out, about popping their head above the
Hmm.
parapet. They're worrying about
Mm-hmm.
being trolled. They're worrying about what family are going to say, finding the time to do it, just creating content not being their strength. There's,
Mm-hmm.
daily things that as entrepreneurs, as business owners, it's everybody just social media can't be everybody's bag.
Mm-hmm.
Equally, being an accountant isn't everybody's bag, which is why I need an accountant because figures are not my thing. But then for other people, they look at social media and busy people just don't necessarily have the time to dedicate to creating their own posts. And that's
Mm-hmm.
totally, totally cool when they've got the book, when they've already created resources, when they've already got courses, online courses and talks, if they're already a speaker, talks that they go out and do, because they can give them to me and I learn their tone of voice. I learn their language. The content that can be created from their existing content, it's 100% them, and
Mm-hmm.
that's the beauty of it. So it's yeah, people's issues with social media haven't really changed over that time.
Yeah. Yeah, the type of content coming out of social media is definitely more interactive. There is more poison online nowadays too. There is more garbage when you go to certain different types of modalities of social media. Even LinkedIn, that's supposed to be a business focused place, has become a very spammy. Like why is why is Angelina Jolie trying to connect to me? And I look at a picture and I'm like, oh, this is garbage. This is
I
absolutely garbage. Uh,
Considering LinkedIn is meant to be the business platform, I am constantly amazed and amused by the comments of people who blatantly have their business name or the company that they work for right there, and
yeah,
they are arguing and bitching and just generally being nasty to each other. And I'm like, when did being able to just conduct yourself courteously disappear out the window? I just don't understand. Because if you don't know these people, have a word with
yeah,
yourself. If you're arguing with complete strangers or
yeah,
feeling a desperate need to get a negative opinion out there over something that's happened. I did
yeah,
do a talk in London recently, and I think one of the phrases that I came out with was if you find yourself arguing with strangers in the comments, you really need to have a word with yourself and get out the house more.
yeah, yeah. I honestly, I
I don't
can't.
understand.
I can't put it elegantly, Sarah, but I think you're a freaking loser. Like if you're on LinkedIn and you're arguing with someone else who just puts some opinion, like first of all, like I don't want your political opinion, right? I don't give a damn. But I find it, you know, this is me just sitting on the sidelines watching. I find it really funny.
Yeah.
I get buy a bag of popcorn and watch all these people doing career suicide, right? Like it could be hundreds of them going through a thread. It's absolutely fun to watch. That's you know, that's the little boy in me. But at the same time, like I look at the amount of engagement, and I'm like, you guys just need to get out a little more. Stop. You know what? If you want to go to a pub or something and have a good long argument with someone, go right ahead. But online, just I don't know, loser. There's no elegant term I could use other than that.
Yeah.
Um,
I find it fascinating
I
because obviously a massive part of what I do is branding. And
yeah,
branding is everything. It's how you communicate with people. It's not just about your colours and a logo. And if any of
yeah,
my, well, I work with some very amazing people. So none of my clients would ever be caught arguing in the comments of a post for a
yeah,
start. But equally, if I did catch them, I would be on them. So, what on earth are you doing? Because you can't put
yeah.
all this effort into your online presence if you're then going to trash it
Mhm.
by doing something like that. So yeah, it's a fascinating concept. I don't think people really think it through. I think people very much get caught up in the moment. It's all very emotional, and I think a lot of people are very frustrated these days. It's
Mhm.
easy to sit behind your phone and at the screen, isn't it? And tap furiously and
You know what? Get out and talk to people. Get out, go to groups, right? You probably wouldn't say even half the things you were saying if you were face to face with someone. And by the way, if you do, prepare for consequences. as well, saying certain things that you say online. But honestly, I think a lot of folks just get out, take your frustration out on a heavy bag. Like I said that to a few people this week.
Go to
Like,
the
you look
gym.
frustrated.
Yes.
Yeah, go to the gym, put on a pair of gloves, hit a heavy bag. In fact, take those gloves off and just hit it with your bare knuckles, right?
I
And
don't think I'm up
it's
for
you'll get the frustration out.
that. I just don't like the idea of it. Not with my bare hands.
I've done that before. It gets your hands raw pretty fast,
Mm-hmm.
but you won't be frustrated anymore.
No,
That's for
this is
sure.
true. This is
Uh,
true. But
so we went from
on the other side of this, we do have the one thing I love about social media is the incredibly supportive side of it in terms of building that community, which is what people could do with the right
yeah
content. It's, when you can support people, nurture people, create, your circle of caring, ambitious, incredible, thinking outside the box people who just can support each other to succeed. That's for me,
yeah
that's the amazing side of social media. And that's the side that I
it
very much
is
subscribe to. And I'm very much about when you're posting on social media, how do you want to make people feel? What do you want to
yeah
happen in their brain? What do you want to spark when someone sees your name? Because that's
yeah
that's that's how we function as humans, isn't it? On feelings. And I would
yeah
rather be I would always rather people saw my name and straight away have all the good positive stuff sparking away and going on, as opposed to always good or helpful or amusing or help me get through a day or whatever it is, to the other side of it.
yeah yeah. I think as human beings, it's easy to focus on the negative.
It is.
And when we talk about coaching, we talk about leadership. You think about, for instance, like, when's the last time you made a mistake, and think about how long you were in that little valley of despair, if you want to call it,
Mm-hmm.
versus the last time you did something really well, Sarah. I bet you that hill, of euphoria probably was like this. The last
Oh,
time you made a mistake, it was like this long valley stretching weeks, if not days, and you know,
yeah.
and that manifests itself too in social media too, like where you might be looking for the negative, and there's people will sit in the negative. But you are absolutely right. Like the guests on this podcast have consistently said, like, especially the entrepreneurs, like, they didn't realize how supportive this community is until they dove into it. I
So
I guess,
incredible.
like,
It really
me
is.
running this podcast too. Yeah, me running this podcast, it's, I guess, it's somewhat like an entrepreneur in some ways. I'm not trying to make money out of this, but what I've been very surprised, Sarah, is the supportiveness of the people I've met. And, like, I think that's the way we met, like a friend of a friend of a friend of a friend that I somehow got to know, and then it connected us to where we are right now. Right. So
Exactly. Exactly. And
it's probably
that's
like 4 or 5 degrees of separation.
I look into my world now, and the people that I really gel with now, in terms of where I am in my business, where I am in my mindset, in my life, the majority of them I have met online and
Mm,
through business groups. And it is just that, I've got friends all over the world. If I wanted to, I love doing road trips at weekends, and I do tend to do that around the UK a lot. But if I wanted to,
mm,
I could probably plan a worldwide trip and go and see some of these amazing people along the way. And I
mm.
think without social media, without doing what I do, and without getting into some of the groups that I had, I never would have had these opportunities to know such fantastic people.
What's the most interesting person you've helped?
Oh, I can't pick one. That's like asking me to pick my favorite child. Oh,
You don't have favorite child. It's just everyone's equal. Some are more equal than others. So
this is
they're all
true.
equal.
This is
But who
true.
is the most equal one?
Oh, oh, you're squeezing me on that one. I think they've all been, so many of them have been fascinating in their own ways. So I do have a client at the moment. We've been working together for about a year. And when she first came to me, I know she's amazing at what she did. And then she started telling me about the things that she really does. And I sat there for
Mm.
probably an hour just with my jaw dropped. going, why does nobody know all of this? And she said,
Hmm.
because I've never been ready to share it. And now, now I think it's time for that to start going out. And I think the amount of people I've worked with who they've come to me when they're ready to share their story, and some of them are insane. Some of them have had such hard childhoods and
Hmm.
utterly horrendous things happen to them. And all of that has built the person that they are now and the way in which they help people. And they're the people I love to work with, like very heart-centered people, because the world needs these people.
Yeah.
And it's just, I couldn't even really pull out any specific stories for you, because just the people that I meet, then I think that's what I meet around this. The people that I end up working with, they're like, I don't know how to tell my story. I don't know how to share this
Hmm.
without feeling like a dick or sounding like a dick. Or a lot of people don't like to write about themselves full stop. We all find that really awkward. So having someone else
Hmm.
who takes the time to dive in and do it for them. And yeah, I just think sometimes we shouldn't play the comparison game, but sometimes I feel like my life has been very boring compared to some of the people that I am very, very grateful to be able to work with.
And you're probably okay with that too.
Yes,
You
some
know,
of the things that have happened I wouldn't want to happen to me, but
yeah, yeah,
they've dealt with it with such fortitude and grace and passion, and turned it into something good, that it's
yeah.
absolutely insane.
Why do you think that? This is a common question where an individual could two individuals could be put into the same type of level of adversity, whatever
Hmm.
it might be. Okay. Folks I've talked to here have been through civil war, have been through other personal struggles, suicide attempts, um, like et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And very fortunate, these are individuals I've talked to personally too, who have come out the other side and channeled that energy for some sort of good. But why do you think some people can emerge stronger and do good, and others might come out of it not so good?
I think it just comes down to whatever inner strength people have got. Some people are incredibly tenacious and they will just keep going. Sometimes I think the hardship pushes more people forwards. But some people will just give up and go, "This is my lot. This is all my life is meant to be." And I also think it depends on who you connect with as time goes by. A lot of those
Mm-hmm.
people still just put their trust that something is good in there, and they may meet someone who then says, "Well, hold on, I'm going to introduce you to so and so, and I'm going to introduce you to so and so." And I think, and also
Mm-hmm.
it's the level of energy that you give off. Excuse me. It's the energy that you give off. If you walk around wallowing in this black swirling negative energy, it don't go so well. Whereas if
Mm-hmm.
you focus and you power forwards and you maintain the positive and you always strive for better, and I think some people are just naturally programmed one way or the other.
Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting too, and I figure you probably come across a lot of different individuals in your travels,
Yeah.
um, who have a story. I guess I'm also curious, like for yourself, like what do you want to do with all this? So you've been doing this 15 years. You're still helping a lot of people find their voice, right? Where do you want to go with this?
Interesting question. I think one of the things that I love about what I do is that I'm helping other people set their legacy. So if they've already written a book, they've already that is their legacy to the world. If they're sharing what they know and how they've learned those lessons, and how helping
Hmm.
us to learn from their experiences, adventures, mistakes, whatever phase it comes from in their life. That's what I love about it. Where do I want to take this? That's a really good question. I don't think I have a super end goal. I don't know if
Hmm.
you're like me, but you can set a goal and then you start getting close and you go, "That's not enough." Oh, let's change the angle slightly. Let's change direction slightly to where we're going. So, but I just want to empower as many nonfiction authors and niche experts, the heart centered people, the people who the world needs more of to combat all the crazy negative stuff that's going on out there. And I do think that people need help and that support going forwards, because we have a lot going on in our lives now. Social media means that things are rolling faster and faster each day. You know, just going back over the last 4 years, obviously, I think a lot of people are still reeling from COVID. We've got war going on. It's, you know, well, is there ever a war that's not going on? I don't think so. And
Yeah. Yeah.
and people feel that. So the people I work with, the world needs. And I just want to enable that, the good stuff, to really get out there and flood as much of the world as possible.
Flood the world with good.
Yeah.
That sounds like what I'm hearing. If you have to give advice to the younger Sarah, what would that be?
Have more faith in myself. I think I spent too much time questioning whether whether how I was and what I could do was good enough for other people. It's always interesting. There's a lot. If we go back, there's a lot in terms of, I think, when you've got a certain personality, that people can sometimes take exception at. So if you grow up in quite a conservative, and I don't mean that in a political way, I mean just in terms of how we grew up, quite a conservative community where certain careers and jobs that I considered, I was told that's not a proper job. And don't be so loud and don't talk so much and don't be so passionate or enthusiastic and, you know, don't be so weird and all of these things. And I think when that happens a lot, you do start to question yourself. And I think we will go through periods of, well, okay, so I dumb myself down to fit in more. And then you realize that you're just really unhappy and that doesn't work. So you come back out and like emerge back. And I just had to learn to be more confident with, actually, do you know what? Who I am is a filter. If people don't like me, that's okay, because there are hundreds of thousands of other people out there, whether you want a friend, whether you want a social media person, whatever it is, there's loads of other people. Go and use them. The people who love me for who I am, the people that I connect with, they're the ones where we're going to do great stuff. And I just think when I was younger, I probably needed to know that.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. I think that's a more people can realize that, the better. I talk to folks even like, later in the years, I guess more than halfway down their life, right? Who
Yes.
still have this chip on the shoulder
Mm-hmm.
where it's about how I'm perceived by others. Now, there's a certain amount that is important. You don't want to be, starting fights and on social media or on the street, you know what I mean? But but it's what they do is try to tailor their actions so much to impress others versus like, well, what's important to you? And I think, something I heard from an individual recently who was in the corporate world for a long time, and lots happened in their life, and they said to me, "Hey, Dave, like one of the things I realize and I do regret is how much of my life I gave to helping this amorphous
Mhm.
organization make a shitload of money. Pardon my French,
Yeah.
right? And I helped them, and I didn't do things for me, and truly for me. I
Yeah.
did things for this company that's making whatever already, right? And that's one of the regrets. And
If
in the
that's
process, marriage,
if that's
yeah,
all you do, then that's what you do, isn't it? And I think
yeah,
that's
it
beauty.
is. It is. It's because what's everyone else doing around you? They're all chasing this, golden goose egg, and it's and
And
because of
it's hard.
FOMO or whatever it is.
You do what other
Yeah,
people do because otherwise you feel that you don't fit in. And
yeah,
I think that
yeah,
whole not
and
fitting in thing probably sums up a lot of my life. And I think a lot of other people
yeah,
feel it, but they just maybe it's more talked about now than it was obviously years ago. Social media has done an amazing job of opening up these conversations, I think. And it's good to also just get to that place in your life where you just give less fucks.
yeah, yeah. It is. It is. And being around individuals who are healthy about it too, and like there's an extreme to that too. Like I have been around individuals who don't give f's. So I'm not there yet in my podcast. Actually dropping the f bomb. I'll do that after. Um, Uh, no, you can do whatever the hell you want. But I got a brand. I got a brand. I got to
Yeah,
maintain here.
so
Okay,
have I.
Sarah.
Everyone expects it from me now. It's fine. That's the beauty of
Oh, jeez, you're so on brand. Uh,
it.
I've lost track of what I was about to say here. It doesn't matter. That no. So there's the other extreme of not giving two Fs, where basically it almost becomes you got to make sure you're around people who don't give an F from the perspective of like I I'm not doing this for others. I'm doing this for myself. It will benefit others, but it's got to benefit myself first, so and benefit others, right?
Mm,
Not at the exclusion of others.
no,
Whereas the other extreme of that is there's people who don't give an F, but at the cost of others as well, right?
yeah,
And
I
consistently,
don't agree with that
where
side of
it's almost a form of narcissism too, and ego, where it's like I don't kiss anyone's butt. Like I knew an individual who said that. You're like, yeah, but now to the detriment of
it.
your
Yes.
team, to the detriment of your business partners, to the detriment of even family members, right? Like you give so little F's that everyone around, actually no one wants to be around you. You're
No,
toxic,
because
right?
now you're
uh,
selfish. But there's
yeah,
definitely
now
that.
you're selfish.
There's a difference for me between having boundaries and protecting myself and creating the life that I need and considering other people. And I
Yeah.
think there's a massive difference between making decisions that I'm going to do something that annoys a couple of people just because purely they just don't like my decisions and actually choosing to go and
Yes.
do things that will hurt other people. So
Yeah. Yeah, there's a difference there.
there is a difference. There's so many shades of grey sometimes because everyone's got different thoughts, and this is
Yeah.
again where the whole social media side of things comes in because everyone loves to discuss what's right and what's wrong. And I think a lot of the time
Yeah.
what we're missing is there is not necessarily a right and a wrong, just different sides of perspectives.
Yeah. Yeah. I think your average person doesn't care that much about the extremes. Anyways, going back to like why you and I aren't doctors, lawyers, and accountants and engineers.
That was
Those are
never
the only
going to be
careers.
my
Okay,
route.
sir. um, all right. Last question. I'm going to leave it to you. So, tradition here on this podcast is that I give the last question to my guest to ask me,
Mhm.
and you can ask me any question you like. So over to you, Sarah. What do you want to ask me?
Wow. I'd have liked warning about this question. I like to think about these things, so I could have really put you on the spot about something.
No, no, this is why I do this. You didn't watch my last episode with
Out of all of your podcast guests, who has been your favourite?
the current person I'm talking to right now.
Of
Absolutely,
course,
Sarah Fletcher
because
is my
all
most.
podcast guests are equal, aren't they? Except some are more equal than
Yeah,
others.
yeah. Some are more equal. Some of them are more recency biased as well. So whoever I'm talking to is my favorite person,
Oh,
and
my
I'm talking to
current,
you right now. You're my current favorite at this very moment.
okay.
Um, okay, sarcasm aside, some memorable ones. There's some pretty interesting ones. Again, I'm not coming prepared, so if I leave anyone out, it's not that it's just what sticks out. I was doing some, editing some shorts, YouTube shorts recently with some of the podcasts guests, and it helps you review some of the things and advice that was given there. And so one of them recently was a lady named Bimpe Ayeni. She's very accomplished. So talking about someone who's an entrepreneur on the side, as well as a head of plastic surgery during the day. So very accomplished individual, family of surgeons, and she launched this men's skincare brand and had this big launch at Times Square recently. Welcome. And the thing is that stick out from there was she's very humble, but what she talked about was her dad, who was a surgeon as well, and but it was the story of her dad who just didn't buy into the old school mentality of you just be people around you. He wasn't one of the nicest men in the world, right? And was a successful doctor, created a bunch of successful doctors in his family,
Mm.
and that was a big lesson. That was big lessons that you could do it your own way, right? You could
Yes.
do things your own way.
I'm so glad you
Yeah,
said that. So for me,
yeah,
the
you could do
most
it your own way.
dangerous
Yeah,
sentence that you can ever say is because that's how we've always done it. And I'm talking, and I've
hmm
encountered this in businesses, in charities that I've worked with, in day-to-day life. And I had a call with someone last week, and I asked if they do XYZ in their business, and their response was no. And I said, why not? And they said, because that's not how our industry does it. And my response was, well, if you want to stand out in your industry, why are you not doing something different to everybody else?
Mm-hmm.
And they looked really
Yep.
surprised. And I'm like,
Yeah.
don't,
No one's
don't,
ever said that to them.
no. And this is, I think this is often the issue just with society, is that so many people want to fit in that they just do what everybody else does. And then I
Mm-hmm.
love that her dad went against the grain and didn't behave how other surgeons did. And in the process, he cut this loop, didn't he? He broke
Yeah.
the how you should
Broke
be
the
as a surgeon,
cycle.
broke the cycle. That's the word I was looking for. And I think,
Yeah.
and I'm assuming that that's then followed down with her and into the rest of the family.
Yeah. Yeah. It's exactly that. It served as an example of what's possible. Right.
Yes.
And so, and it's up to us. It's up to us, and whether it's with family, friends, kids, whatever it is, it's up to you to, like, if you tell your kid, like, hey, the only jobs out there is doctor, lawyer, whatever, and you have to have your plan by the time you're 16, you got to know exactly what you want to do.
Yeah.
You don't get afforded to see things out there. One of the things I reflect on with my wife was, it's good that things didn't go according to plan for me. I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing right now. It didn't go according to plan. A lot of things, I got to discover other things along the way.
Yes.
So, and
Yeah.
somehow I'm here with you right now.
That's it. If things have turned out any better.
All equal. Some more equal than
All
others. So,
yes.
all right. Well, Sarah, to my favorite guest, I'm going to stop recording now, but I do want to thank you for making time today,
Thank
speaking
you
with me.
so much for having me. This has been wonderful.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, Sarah. And that's a wrap for today's episode of the Coachful Coaching Leadership Podcast. If you've enjoyed what you've heard and want to dive deeper into the world of leadership and coaching, make sure to hit that subscribe button on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcast fix. Your support means the world to us. By subscribing, you're not just tuning in for yourself. You're helping us spread the message about leadership and coaching to others who can benefit from it. So join the movement, hit that subscribe button, and let's make a difference together. Thank you for being a part of the Coachful Coaching Leadership Podcast community. Until next time, stay inspired, stay motivated, and keep leading with purpose. This is David Fung signing off. See you on the next episode.